годині послухаємо інформацію про ситуацію на Сході від полковника Андрія Лисенка. Прошу до слова.
Доброго дня, шановні колеги. Ситуація.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The situation has stabilized to some extent in ATO area, but the enemy continues fire, including shelling from the heavy weaponry that should have been withdrawn yesterday. The illegal armed forces used 120 mortars 9 times, 122 millimeters artillery 2 times, and the tanks 2 times. The hottest spots have been Shirokino and Mariupol vicinity, Donetsk airport and Horlivka vicinities, Maersk and Kiev, in Luhansk region, Donetsk village near Bakhmut highway. Ukraine strictly adheres to ceasefire and Minsk agreements, but the Ukrainian servicemen retaliate enemy if they make any attempts. The militant demonstrates that they are willing to continue the combat. The international monitors from OSCE spotted the military training of again group LPR in Lysenko with the use of 10 tanks and 30 armed vehicles and lorries. During the visit to so-called DPR home base, they did not observe 4 152 millimeter cannons in place. The monitors also spotted 2 T-72 tanks near Girne. In the last 24 hours, we have had no lethal casualties and 6 people got wounded. The militants deprive the young Ukrainians from their future in Lugansk by order of the illegal organizations called State Security Ministry of LPR. The headmasters force the teachers to gather information about the children willing to undergo external assessment and then enter Ukrainian university. They require to provide explanations to the pupil and their parents to make them enter institutions and universities at the occupied territory whose documents won't be never recognized. The Ukrainian special forces cut the funding sources for the militants. The counterintelligence and finance monitoring services blocked $550,000 and 1,240,000 hryvnias at the accounts of so-called Minister for Construction and Utilities of LPR. The fraudster aimed these funds for the militants and subversive actions. Our soldiers go to the front line. The battalion tactic group soldiers from one of the Ukrainian Armed Forces brigade are moving to the ATO, and our troopers are seen off by their families, friends, and volunteers. According to the unit commander, they are provided with all the necessary gear and first need items and adequately trained at force grounds and team training grounds. The policemen from Ternopil region are going to the east instead of their friends in ATO. There are experienced people who go to the east to protect our country, not for the first time. Ternopil policemen will keep their duties on the block posts and observe law and order. They have been provided with a new uniform and protection means. The volunteers and business people from the region provided the policemen also with food sets. At the same time, Ivano-Frankivsk region law enforcers go to the ATO. About 100 policemen have experience of the missions at the east of Ukraine, and they understand their responsibility and are now sharing their experience with the new conscripts. The law enforcers, in the course of their missions in Mariupol regions, confirmed their professional skills and have been praised and awarded many times. And now a story about our heroes. The servicemen from 95th Airborne Brigade were very active in the hottest spots of ATO in July and August. They have been involved in heavy combat for Savur-Mogila Height, and the assault group was commanded by Major Alexander Porhun. Under his command, our servicemen seized the height with the minimum losses and defended it. And during the combat, Alexander has been wounded but continued to command his unit until the successful finish of the operation. Alexander says that you should keep your mind cold and keep your human qualities. Now, in the ceasefire, Alexander spares no effort to help his soldiers to get social protection. The officer says that his people are oriented to go on till peace is instigated in Ukraine. Many troopers have been awarded by the government, and Major Porhun was awarded a hero of the Ukraine. Thank you. And I'm ready to answer the questions. During Lysenko of Channel 5, how the ATO commanders and the staff consider the OSCE announcements that the Shirokino, which is divided between militants and the armed forces of Ukraine, can be demilitarized. Actually, the Shirokino demilitarization idea was born quite a long ago, because continuous shelling of the locations of the armed forces of Ukraine and fighting the subversive groups trying to use the buildings in Shirokino for their purposes are also shelled from our part. Considering the fact that the Ukrainian servicemen are not using the heavy weaponry which has been withdrawn, and the militants continue fire from mortars and artillery, we have made the decision on demilitarization has been made. If the parties are aimed at the demilitarization, that will be an exemplary case of possibility to make a territory neutral, free from any harm to the civilians, with the support of an international organization. If this experiment succeeds, it will mean that the same as possible along the whole delimiting line. It means that they have started already. Well, everything starts from the idea, from the OSCE mission visit. When they saw that heavy damage due to the conflict, they decided to try and make a demilitarization area. Does it mean that Ukraine will take off all the weaponry? Well, the fact is that the Ukrainian army has only small arms, which should not be withdrawn. And clarification, if you can make an assessment, won't be a danger to create allegedly neutral area which will allow the militants come closer to Mariupol. Well, you see, our forces would not leave their locations. The demilitarization means a comprehensive ceasefire, withdrawal of all heavy weaponry, and repair of the social infrastructure. enabling the civilians to carry out their peaceful lives without shelling, carry out their normal lives without warlike situation. Thank you. Next question, please. If there are none, thank you, Colonel Lysenko, and we are looking forward to tomorrow briefings.